Good evening, everyone. Virgo here. It's May 7th, 2020. I'm going to be playing for you a video that was made by a group called Team Bubba. Team Bubba also is a watchdog group of sorts. Specifically, they've been keeping an eye on the Manna World Holding Trust scam. This scam includes people such as Anna von Reitz, Thomas Williams, a gentleman that goes by the name of Tank, and in addition, none other than the Kim Goguen that, of course, April Lejeune and Anna von Reitz at one point claimed was me. Of course, we all know that this is false at this point, but this party is someone that deserves to be watched closely. They are a very big con artist, and they don't play in the minor leagues. They con big. What you're going to be watching is an introduction to what the actual scam entails. Many people have been defrauded out of lots of money by these people, and they're a dangerous group. As a matter of fact, you will find that the voiceover on this video is an electronic one. And although it may be harder to listen to, I encourage you to do so. Many of the people in Team Bubba's group have been threatened and even worse. So it's necessary for them to remain off of the radar of these individuals in terms of using their actual voice or their face. I would encourage anyone who runs across someone talking about Manna World Trust to please share this video. Also, in the video description on this video, you are going to find the link to Team Bubba's YouTube channel and Facebook group. For those of you that may be watching this that have been scammed by this group, please be sure to visit the Facebook group of Team Bubba's for additional information on where to find the other victims that have been scammed. For those of you that have been following the Virgo Triad channel for the last 4 years, there are ties to the OPPT with this. So please take the time to share this video. Take the time to make sure that people who are involved with this group and think that the Manna World Holding Trust is something that is positive, or that they are doing with the funds that are donated what they claim to be doing, they need to know the truth, and they need to know where to go for help. Without further ado, here is Team Bubba's video on Manna World Holding Trust and how it all operates.
Summary of how the Manna World Holding Trust scam operates through Kimberly Goguen, Thomas Williams, Dan Lutz and Stefan Rowe, known as Tank. The lady cited in the above heading has made claims to holding the position of sovereign trustee, guardian of all assets belonging to each and every country in the entire world, as well as possessing control of all financial institutions and alphabet agencies worldwide, and in this capacity, declares to conduct regular meetings with those figures at the helm of the world's power distribution centers, such as the Rothschild family members, the President of the United States, etc. Furthermore, Mrs. Goguen also claims to preside at alien council meetings. No proof of any of the above has ever been put forth by Kimberly Goguen herself, and neither by any of her team of supporters. There appears to be no trace of any official legal documents and no authorized witnesses to her affirmations. Kimberly Goguen was first heard of on alternative media platforms in 2016, when she introduced herself, under the fake profile name of Christy Adams, into a social media platform called Cosmic Voice, and thus became a member. Her posts, containing some very odd comments, were an ample warning of the bullshit hype she would later expand upon. An example of this were her claims lacking the slightest evidence to have received documents from a non-named person who, according to her, worked for the Black Pope. Furthermore, she affirmed to have personally entered into certain vaults where treasures had been deposited by members of the cabal. Many have wondered about Kim's experience in finance and banking, since she professes to have more than 20 years of banking experience. We have traced some evidence of her activity as a financial broker, although comments regarding this, from those who provided their testimony, are not positive about her. It is a well-known fact that many in that sector often swindle their clients and escape legal consequences because dealings were regarded as high risk and thus remained unregistered. We also discovered that Kim Goguen has been the title holder of at least one mortgage company and a few financial companies. One of the more notorious of these likely money laundering positions was with a company registered in England where she was paid to be a director of a company for one day only whilst proceedings for bankruptcy were filed. Politically, Kim affirms her bias against the Democrats when quite obviously and to the contrary, anyone in the position of managing the wealth and funds she claims to be, would certainly hold a neutral political standing. Kim and her colleague Thomas Williams make no secret of their detestation of the Democrats. Kim has clearly shown this trait since 2016. As Kim participated in the Cosmic Voice social media group offering some pointless posts, it appears obvious she was befriending Thomas Williams in the background by professing to be acquainted with powerful and rich people who were willing to fund projects for Cosmic Voice members. Her plan would require a foundation to collect tax-exempt donations where CV members would also be required to donate. Thomas and Kim set up a foundation but refused to reveal its name at the time. He claimed the foundation had received donations amounting to $6,000 in the initial 2 weeks. This information was confirmed during a video interview with Randy Morgans and Thomas Williams and the amounts publicly announced. As mentioned in a previous Team Bubba post on Facebook and also on Bubba videos published on YouTube, there were reports of a big breakup between the principal members in CV. Thomas left that group and started his own social platform groups under the name of THI, which is the abbreviation for Truth, Honor and Integrity. He withdrew the foundation from the Cosmic Voice group and established his claim to the contents and rights of administration by placing it under a new name, the People's Club, and subsequently registered it as his own private company. At this point, it needs to be recognized and underlined that although donations from members of his THI social media groups are offered from their intention to fund projects with charitable goals, the money is collected into Thomas Williams' private company account, namely, the People's Club, and not as most members are given to believe, into a collective charity deposit account. This implies that in theory, Thomas Williams could legally remove those funds at any time and for any reason with no requirement to offer any explanation to anyone. Thomas wanted to continue his activity of exploiting the old cold birth certificate scam. So he invited Dr. Judge Naidu, Aiden, onto his THI show on 2 occasions. Thomas was well aware that the mentioned gentleman was already guilty of defrauding hundreds of thousands of dollars from people, including CV members. People had lost their homes through being scammed by this guy. Thomas intended to build up a good reputation for Naidu, so he used the audio platform of his new friend Alan James from Open Your Mind, to promote his scams further. It would appear that Alan foolishly did not undertake any background research on this guy and made one of many fatal mistakes by taking Thomas' word for Naidu's credibility. Alan seems to have naively accepted without proof a whole lot of other bullshit Thomas and Kim have deceived him about. Apparently the OIM broadcast was taken off the air, most likely due to Alan's co-host Steve having seen though the bullshit and refusing to participate in the scam being broadcast through his voice. Alan's credibility became seriously questionable from this point on. When Team Bubba questioned Thomas about his support and promotion of said Judge Naidu and the common law and birth certificate scam, he replied that it was nothing to do with him and tried to deflect any responsibility by affirming that Naidu was being investigated for other reasons involving tribal land and not for cold, which everyone knows by now is complete bullshit. Naidu has been involved with many scams and was also buddies with Neil Keenan. Naidu was involved with the birth certificate scam, together with another known as the Kingdom of Hawaii scam and many more. Thomas cannot deny his involvement in Naidu's scam since a simple search of the man's name on Google revealed Naidu's reputation even in those days. Instead, he defended him even when others were accusing Naidu of being a fraud. Kim was gradually introduced into THI via the disastrous Apu show, broadcast on YouTube. That was an embarrassing introduction and one I am sure she would prefer to be swept under the carpet. That show revealed some very poor actors who failed to keep to the script, which had most obviously been written hurriedly and without due care. The show was intended to portray Thomas, Kim and other associates speaking to aliens, but it was a complete fiasco. Team Bubba proved without any doubt that this Apu show and the tribal kangaroo skin was in fact fake. It needs to be remembered that the Manna World Holding Trust had not been mentioned by Thomas at all up to this point. Not long after this, Kim informed Thomas about her intention to introduce a new addition to the team, named Stefan Rowe, known by the nickname of Tank. Thomas was furious that someone he knew as the famous RV scammer was now included into his own team of scammers, and he saw Tank as a big threat to replacing himself as Kim's golden boy. Presently, Tank appears to have taken the top position at Kim's side. Thomas has been relegated to an irrelevant lackey, a shoeshine boy to both Tank and Kim. Around the same time, someone in the alternative social media leaked Kim's name in the dinar community. This was apparently something she wanted to be kept secret because of her past track record, and oh boy didn't that creep up on her and bite her on the ass. Thomas decided to broadcast a special show in order to properly introduce Kim to his THI members, and this was the moment that the lies regarding the Manna World Holding Trust started to get out of hand. Their sloppy memory of their previous lies began to give them away. Kim was also interviewed by Alan James on the OM show prior to its shutdown. By this time, many THI members were beginning to pose questions about the Manna World Holding Trust, the Apu show and Kim's role. However, Thomas, instead of providing answers to deserving questions, regarded the inquirers as troublemakers. He went on to make one of his biggest mistakes to date, and which has ruined Kim's entire plan by forcibly withdrawing membership from the THI groups from anyone he deemed too inquisitive, and by doing so, damaged the seemingly reputable front to their bank defrauding scam. Following this, Team Bubba became established as a group on social media platforms by those very ex-THI group members, who had been exonerated from THI groups, with the aim of exposing what they had now come to understand as a huge scam, and oh boy was that bad news for the whole Manna World Holding Trust scamming team, including their bosses, OCG-. Team Bubba began researching into the history of the scam itself and then, one by one, into the past of the perpetrators themselves, and have always backed up their claims and accusations with the proof they discovered. Kim Goguen, Thomas Williams, Dan Lutz and Tank Stefan Rowe still have not produced one piece of evidence to support any of their ridiculous and shameful claims aimed at defrauding people who place their trust in them and believe themselves to be participating in an initiative which will benefit entire populations. Not one piece of evidence from them. They even brag that Team Bubba have given them more positive exposure, more members, and through-the-roof donations. However, we know that this also is a lie, otherwise they wouldn't give us the time of day. The Manna World Holding Trust team's attempts at defrauding banks in Liberia and Brazil would not have failed if groups like Team Bubba had not provided proof of the past fraudulent activity of the scammers. They were left disgruntled and appearing absolutely and pathetically stupid for all in the alternative media to see, as to their colleagues in the criminal world. Kim, however, was also receiving blows to her reputation via another well-known apparent fraudster by the name of Reitz. At first, the latter had supported the fantasy about Kim being the trustee of the biggest trust on the planet, but later claimed that she had stolen the entirety of its contents. Mrs. Von Rees published her reviewed version of the tale on her blog and also on other social media platforms, stating that Kim is a phony and that together with Thomas Williams, both are criminals. What followed was an openly published epistle of pathetic insults between the two ladies, which continued for months and displayed quite clearly their hatred for those noble people who have the best intentions for the planet and humanity. Kim was accused, mistakenly by Anna von Reyes, of being the voice behind Virgo Triad. This catfight, at that stage, had gotten clearly out of hand. More and more names came out of the woodwork linking Kim to her past. She was linked to Lewis Taylor III, was shown to be involved with the Michael Young in the Bank of Dean scam, which also showed links to Anna von Reitz. Lewis Taylor III was nominated in a few reports together with Kim. We even discovered documents declaring that Lewis had not even paid his staff and in one case, had left them impoverished by $250,000 whilst being part of the GFT, God the Father, holdings. During the time of this conflict, Thomas said he had to leave Florida for his own safety due to the fact that all members of Kim's team were being attacked. He spoke of hijacking and assassination attempts on their lives by cabal minions. He even recounted events involving 60-plus Asian hitmen who attempted to kill Kim, but she took them all out. Maybe she meant took them all out to KFC? Thomas said that someone had tried to kill him on one occasion whilst he was driving his vehicle when a fridge freezer was thrown off the back of a truck preceding him, but missed hitting its target, namely, himself. So he moved home to a place near Kim in Colorado. He gave the reason that the area is classified as a safety zone whereby all his team are afforded protection. However, not long after, Thomas contradicted himself by declaring that Kim had gone into hiding for her own safety and gave that as the reason for not being able to convey any so-called intel on his show. A week later, it seems that Tank was sharing intel from Kim. Very confusing for those who believed Thomas. A while later, Dan Lutz joined Kim's team of scammers. He began to work closely with Tank, who had established yet another way to defraud people through a common law trust scam, along with a disbarred lawyer by the name of Paul Yokohama, real name is Paul Skelton. They began charging THI members $600 to open their own personal trust as a requirement to be able to receive funds from the fake Manna World Holding Trust. This idea, however, seems to have been modified, and presently, only $100 is charged to any member wishing to step up to a new level within the funding operation and are required to pay the costs for a complete background check on their persona. It is quite obvious that these scammers are collecting money and personal data from their victims and possibly even selling it later. Dan Lutz has been involved with other scams in the past, Swiss Indo being an example. However, Kim has even allowed Dan to continue with his scam of TBC, the Billion Coin, and Kringle Coin, and his crypto bullshit, even though both Kim and Thomas have spoken out against initiatives involving digital currency. Dan is also linked to scammer Tracy Davison, in particular during the period of his involvement with the Swiss Indo scam. This well-known fact also didn't matter to Kim. Tank has recently expanded his team to include Lisa Thomas and Elisha England. Both women are obtaining money through lying to followers of Q and President Trump. This was certainly going on between 2016 to 2019, mostly through platforms offered by Thomas Williams, Randy Morgans, Alan James, Tank, and Dan. The following is a list of their most predominant lies. 1. Apu. 2. The quantum computer. 3. The Kim system. 4. The Apu sprayed an anti-Zika virus via chemtrails. 5. Kim killed 60-plus Asian hitmen during an assassination attempt on her life. 6. Kim witnessed the execution of Marduk and also 150 others. 7. Thomas claimed President Trump sleeps with 13-year-olds. 8. Claims of possessing technology able to pulverize government agency computer system servers. 9. Kim's declaration about her DNA being a 99% match to the original female known as Eve. 10. The narration in the series From Russia with Love as told by Thomas Williams, which is instead a fascist theory. 11. The ongoing warnings about banks being on the verge of crashing since 2016, together with the necessity to keep cash under your mattress rather than deposited in a bank account. 12. The supposition that cats are spies. 13. The People's Club Foundation will save the world through donations of just $1 a week. 14. Kim's claim of being bestowed by a security protection level over and above President Trump by 60+ levels. Also claims that both she and Thomas Williams are regarded with majestic clearance. 15. Kim claims she is in possession of the third nuclear missile codes globally and that no nukes can be launched without her code. 16. Kim claims that if martial law is ever activated anywhere in the world, then both Kim and or Thomas will then be in complete control of all spy agencies and military of every country, and for this reason martial law will never be implemented. 17. Team Bubba R. Retards paid by Blackwater FBI paid assets work in Langley, utilize witchcraft, do nothing to help humanity, follow a leader linked to Eric Prince, follow a known pedophiliac. 18. The Fantasy Tale of the Manna World Holding Trust, MWHT. 19. Queen of the Draco is here to help. 20. Ability to clear jinns from the lower realms. 21. Declaration about two worlds merging. 22. MWHT is now in charge of the United Nations. 23. MWHT now own the Federal Reserve. 24. MWHT now owns Citibank. 25. The MWHT can stop any unauthorized financial transactions. 26. The cabal have been disabled. 27. The existence of a FBI investigation file against Team Bubba members. 28. The existence of criminal evidence regarding Team Bubba. 29. Supposition that the Spreaker Company are altering listener figures. 30. YouTube are altering viewing figures. The above are just some of the most ridiculous claims made by Thomas Williams and Kim Goguen, but even so, people still appear to believe them and offer them money every month to hear more. Moreover, recently Team Bubba received information about Thomas from old associates, whistleblower, of his who knows him very well and has provided much clarity on his past and present lies. Here are a few truths that have been presented to Team Bubba. 1. Thomas Williams owns at least 2 properties which he rents out at a rate of approximately $1,000 per month each. 2. It appears that this man has deceived friends and family in his homeland in UK for his own gain. This includes provide professional plumbing services, which caused flooding, and he rectified the damages via the customer's property insurance. This was in fact insurance fraud. 3. His 2 sons apparently refused contact with their father due to the mental torture he put their mother through. 4. The informer had acquired knowledge from Thomas himself about his intent, right from the very beginning, to set up a foundation in order to collect donated money for himself. The above information offers proof that far from cultivating qualities characterized by truth, honor and integrity, Kim and Thomas, having been exposed for their past and current lies, by Team Bubba, are providing further evidence of their despicability. In an attempt to avoid their group members from viewing an avalanche of evidence we are publishing about them on our social media platforms, they have been making up lies and attacking Team Bubba members with false accusations. There is so much information and evidence already presented on our social media walls, which are open to public view and comments. One topic which has been discussed is whether someone like Kim could truthfully be said to hold meetings with high-level politicians and banking families. It is difficult to believe that President Trump, members of the Rothschild, Rockefeller families or any group dealing in high finances would have anything to do with Kim. The only people she appears to have had dealings with are well linked to the Russian OCG, and even they exonerated her. The fact she has teamed up with people like Tank, Dan Lutz, and Thomas Williams, says it all. If Kim claims to be afforded 60 security protection levels above President Trump, This alone would imply that her negotiations would be conducted at that level instead of with the aforementioned hardly known infantile puppets that have no power at all. If Kim was of the standing she claims, she would not be blabbing about it in the comments section of an insignificant Facebook group. I guarantee you, if what she declares was true, she would most probably have been removed from any further possibility of leaking info. And by the way, that task would not be left to her fictitious ninjas. Her imaginary tale is complete science fiction that was probably copied from a mediocre crime novel. After the latest confirmation, we at Team Bubba received that Thomas redirected a £5,000 donation being paid to THI UK and insisted it was paid into his company, the People's Club, as he openly refers to it now. Thomas has now completely shown his hand in the game of manipulating money transfers which were to be destined for charitable purposes, to his own private company bank account. The most repugnant consideration of this scam is that it is based on trust. He uses Alan James, who presents the respected audio show, Circle of White Light, to create trust in Thomas Williams and his scam by operating within THI Ireland and to develop a template for all other THI national groups worldwide to encourage members to donate money. The other state and country groups are pulled into the scam and most of their funds are stolen by Thomas and Kim once the members' donations are paid into Thomas Williams' private company, the People's Club. This summary of how the Manna World Holding scam is conducted is intended for THI members to understand how they are being conned. We at Team Bubba welcome all of you to contact us for further answers to your questions or clarification of any of the above information. In this event, rest assured that your identity will not be disclosed.